So I just finished a rather large update of my Samurai Saber. The big changes I made is that now there's an RGBW up here in the front. It's a LED engine, main LED. I'm using now the igniter mini board as opposed to the old school large size igniter, which I used to use. That's allowed me to triple my battery life, which is really nice. And then the other thing I did is in the crystal chamber, with a little bit of hacking, I took an RGB 5mm LED and a 3mm white LED, and I dremeled and basically bodged them together to create an RGBW down here for the crystal chamber to match the main LED. Now all of these upgrades actually came from this saber here, which I was building with the new board, but I decided to actually put them in this case to upgrade this one, and then I'll go ahead and finish this one up using everything that I proved out on my upgrade of this particular saber. You can see this is a new saber I'm building, which has a 3-windowed version, and this one actually uses my rotating crystal chamber unit, which I'm going to start selling here very soon. Now, one of the other updates I made on this is I keep losing my kill key here, and so I made a 3D printed version on this thing. And you can see the kill key's in, and yet the saber is still on, and that's because it's actually a rotational on-off switch. So obviously, if you want, you could dig in here and you can pull out the key and you can charge the port just the same. But if you put the kill key in, it's off, but simply by rotating it into the correct position, it's now a rotational on-off switch, which is really convenient because now I don't have to worry about, misplacing my damn kill key every 5 seconds. One of the other things I played around with was just playing around with a bunch of different blade types. So my original blade here, this was the trans white tube. I went ahead and added some cellophane on the inside just to help distribute the light more evenly and help with color mixing. But then I was playing around with some other things. I also tried basically the same thing, only with a thick-walled clear tube. And then I even tried a clear 3/4 tube. You can see here the little adapter I had to hand Dremel to make that one work. And then the last one I tried is specifically for this Samurai Saber, using 2 different kinds of blade film. The blade film from the custom saber shop, and then just cellophane and a thin walled tube. I created a samurai blade that has the look of a temper line, the Hamon line that you find in most samurai swords. And then the other thing I did, just as an experiment, is I tried a little bit of 3D printing to make an off-center point tip to look a little bit, again, more like a samurai sword. And then some of the other upgrades on this saber were done on the kind of font level. The 2 default fonts that this comes with are Dark Apprentice and 501st Commander. You guys have heard those before. And then I also had a heavily modified version of Steel Sword, which I was using. I've also ported over 2 other fonts, Stygian General with a couple changes, and then Dark Star. You can search on YouTube if you're interested in hearing what those fonts particularly sound like. And then the nice thing about my Steel Sword font now is with the new W that I have in both of my LEDs, I don't have to worry about color separation anymore. Everything is now pure white, even when it's retracting and extending, which is nice. So that's a little upgrade, which is why I switched out to the W's, because I really wanted a nice pure white color. And then the last thing I did is I tried making my own font. I've hacked some of the other fonts using Audacity, but I wanted to kind of start from scratch and see if I knew what the heck I was doing. And so I decided to make a font of my own.
Is louder.
The sounds for that font come from both Tron Legacy and Tron Uprising. The hum sound is Tron Legacy and about half of the clash and swing sounds are Tron Legacy. Obviously the dual phase switchover is the motorcycle build sound from Tron Legacy, but the blaster block sounds come from the original Tron. One of the power down sounds is actually the de-resed sound from the original Tron, and then the lockup sound is I couldn't get a good sound file out of the actual show itself, but I tried to match the sound that came from Tron Uprising for the Tron disc being used to kind of cut through something. So the last thing I've added, using the Saber Cinema capabilities of the Igniter mini board, is I've thrown on a little Daft Punk here. So I have a few songs from the Tron Legacy soundtrack that I can flip through